Was a mighty long sail till we cleared the bar, then bore north. It was all I wore, with the current and the wild rolling sea. Well, many a man has come this way, many wise sailors passed away, but I'll be damned if the graveyard's taking me. Was a ship seaworthy, I could not say, but she took the swell in her own bold way, defiance to the screaming wind and rain. She heeled over and asked for more. Each wave came larger than the one before. Then God, we thought, to double reef the main. Yeah, the heavens quake where the river meets the sea. Two giants trading blows for centuries. The wrecks below the waves whisper warning. Not all who test the graveyard see the morning. Well, the pressure mounted on our tiny crew. Just one mistake, we'd be through. Endurance be the measure of the day. Yeah, each hard mile we took in turn, till a mighty breaker crashed over the stern, and we were tossed about like a blackfish with its prey. How we stayed afloat, I'll never know, but we made the call to sheet her home. This weren't the time to test the wind or tide. We came about, we headed south, racing back to Columbia's mouth. As darkness fell, we prayed God for our lives. Yeah, the heavens quake where the river meets the sea. Two giants trading blows for centuries. The wrecks below the waves whisper warning. Not all who test the graveyard see the morning. We pointed east around Buoy 9 as our war raged on with the tiller in line. Astoria's lights were still 20 miles away, and the gale sang her awful song, so we danced with the devil all night long, not certain we'd see the dawning of the day. Till now the black burst of blinding light, yeah, Coast Guard cut her hove into sight. She's a vision come crashing through the waves. You boys must be hard as steel or dumb as hell to get caught out here. We'll guide you home and keep you from an early grave. Yeah, the heavens quake where the river meets the sea. Two giants trading blows for centuries. The wrecks below the waves whisper warning. Not all who test the graveyard see the morning. Yeah, the heavens quake where the river meets the sea. Two giants trading blows for centuries. The wrecks below the waves whisper warning. Not all who test the graveyard see the morning. Thank you, guys.
Dave Ross and the Stumbling Blocks on River City Folk from Artichoke Music on Powell Boulevard in Portland, Oregon. Boy, it's great to be here. What a wonderful song to start with. I was entranced by that song from the first time that I heard it, Dave, and a song just briefly catch us up on what exactly we're talking about there, the big bar of the Columbia River, what that means to sailors out this way.
Yeah, well, it's a really unique piece of real estate out there because typically in a massive river system like that, there's an alluvial fan that dissipates all the energy. But that's not the case with the Columbia River. It's about a mile wide at the mouth and 3 miles long, and 1,200 miles of Columbia River slams into the Pacific Ocean and creates some really wild scenes out there. Whether it's sunny or windy or rainy or not, you can be in a lot of trouble out there in a hurry. And they call it the graveyard of the Pacific for that very reason.
And that song was actually taken from true experience for you.
It was, absolutely. My grandpa and I got a little 18-foot sailboat that he got the idea. We're going to pick it up in St. Helens, take it out the mouth of the Columbia, up through the Straits of Juan de Fuca, and we made it out the mouth of the Columbia, but then had to turn around not too long in because the weather was so bad, and we ended up in the middle of the night in waves you can't believe. I mean, 20-foot swells we were in. Unbelievable. All I remember is staring as the boat was coming up a wave. The wave was taller than the whole boat was. We'd come down the other side. But it's no joke in that song. The Coast Guard did show up. They saw us out there like a bunch of fools and said, we're going to just kind of make sure you make it home okay today. Because I had somebody come up to me. I was playing that song one day, and somebody came up to me and said, you know, Dave, there's a lot easier ways to come up with songs than that.
But look what you got out of it.
That's it.
You know,
for sure.
you could have expired in that situation, but you got a song instead. So, you know, you made the right choice, buddy.
That's it. Thanks.
We're going to move right along here, and we're going to hear this song by a group called Flogging Molly, because traditional Irish music was a huge impact on you, and there are many, many people that you listened to as a kid and later on. And as I said before the introduction of the show, I didn't even know you played guitar for years when I knew you. So I'm just so grateful that you've written these songs and sharing them with us. So what in particular drew you to the music of Flogging Molly with so many other great singing Irish groups out there?
It was a complete accident, but it was part of the maturing process, I would say, to get me to where I am today. They were a bridge from punk rock, which in high school was all I cared about. That was the end of the whole world. Energy, energy, energy. That's all that mattered. And I went to a show at the Crystal Ballroom here in Portland, and Flogging Molly opened. And I couldn't believe it. Here they were with fiddles and mandolins and accordions, and I was here to see a punk rock show. And they opened up and they stole the whole show. And so then I got hooked on it. What I found with Flogging Molly was the lyrics were what were important. The lyrics came forward. The message was more important than the energy. While they brought amazing energy, that's what attracted me to it. And that's what started to mature my mind away from just go, 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 noise, 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 to, well, there's probably something more meaningful here, something to be communicated. And they were the first to do that for me.
Flogging Molly on River City Folk with a song called If I Ever Leave This World Alive. Bear in mind, folks, I wouldn't count on it.
If I ever leave this world alive, well, thank you for the things you did in my life. If I ever leave this world alive, I'll come back down and sit beside your feet tonight. Wherever I am, you'll always be more than just a memory. If I ever leave this world alive, if I ever leave this world alive, I'll take on all the sadness that I left behind. If I ever leave this world alive, the madness that you feel will soon subside. So in a word, don't shed a tear. I'll be here when it all gets weird. If I ever leave this world alive. just before you go insane. If I ever leave this world, hey, I may never leave this world, but if I ever leave this world alive, she says, I'm okay, I'm alright, though you have gone from my life. You said that it would, now everything should be alright. She says, I'm okay, I'm alright, though you have gone from my life. You said that it would, now everything should be alright. Yeah, it should be alright.
In the pubs and the vineyards and the backyards we play songs too precious to lose. Well, yesterday's lessons endure in our day. Yeah, those old songs had something to prove. 'Cause there's life in those verses so loaded with purpose, unlike what we're stuck with these days. They challenge and change us and bind themselves to us. They're songs worth the singing, some say. So some say. This is our ode to the folk songs, to the time-tested sing-alongs, to the artists who showed us the way. The old songs, they find you, possess and refine you, and enrich you like an early spring rain. Like an early spring rain. Oh, Woody went rambling, did his share of hard traveling, and he gave us dreams to dream. Then Dylan, he hitched a ride, but he never bothered thinking twice about challenging every boundary. Then a legend came on the scene, singing about the morning rain. Old Lightfoot, he used words like clay. And Stan's blood ran maritime, but he was taken away while in his prime. But he influences me to this day, right to this day. This is our ode to the folk songs, to the time-tested sing-alongs, to the artists who showed us the way. The old songs, they find you, possess and refine you, and enrich you like an early spring rain. Like an early spring rain. So why bother playing this when I could sound just like all the rest? You socials to tell me what trends. But it's all so damn soulless and designed to control us. So spin those old records again. 'Cause there's life in those verses so loaded with purpose, unlike what we're stuck with these days. They challenge and change us and bind themselves to us. Their songs worth the singing, some say. So some say. This is our ode to the folk songs, to the time-tested sing-alongs, to the artists who showed us a way. The old songs, they find you, possess and refine you, and enrich you like an early spring rain. Like an early spring rain. So sing me those old songs again. And here's to our mentors and friends. So sing me those old songs again. Those songs worth the singing, they'll live on without ending. I said sing me those old songs again. This is our ode to the folk songs, to the time-tested sing-alongs, to the artists who showed us a way. The old songs, they find you, possess and refine you, and enrich you like an early spring rain. Like an early spring rain.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You are listening to River City Folk, a weekly broadcast of live performance, musical influences, and interview across the United States. Thanks very much for tuning into the program today. We just heard a great song, a very recent song by Mr. Dave Rost and the Stumbling Blocks, a song about songs worth singing, which has always been one of the primary reasons to do this program. And thanks for listening to it all these years, 40 years this month of River City Folk. So it's been just a pleasure and a privilege to present songs and people like Dave. And this next song that he chose as an influence ties right into that. Stan Rogers talked about one warm line that passes through us all, that connects us all. And that's the beauty of this music. It's the stories, it's the melodies, it's things that transcend time and space and experience. So, indeed, that is what Stan has meant to you, Dave.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I spoke about a bridge before. He was another bridge, and he's a bridge to the future for me. He had this special ability, though he was never a fisherman, though he was never a farmer, to somehow pluck you up and put you in the tractor or put you on the fishing boat. And I always aspire for my writing to get to that stage where with enough research and enough passion, you can communicate and transplant people into a whole different world. And he's always done that for me. And it's tragic that we lost him how we did, because I knew there were a lot of more songs out there to be written. But he built that bridge to me to this narrative kind of songwriting that I really enjoy.
And he'd be proud of you,
Oh, thank you.
He'd be proud of you.
Thank you.
Of what you're doing. This is one of the quintessential Stan Rogers songs. You may not have heard it before. It's from the album Northwest Passage, and it's called Lies.
At last the kids are gone now for the day. She reaches for the coffee as the school bus pulls away. Another day to tend the house and plan for Friday at the Legion when she's dancing with her man. Sure was a bitter winter, but Friday will be fine. And maybe last year's Easter dress will serve her one more time. She passed for 29, but for her eyes. But winter lines are telling wicked lies. Oh, lies. All those lines are telling wicked lies. Lies, all lies. Too many lines there in that face. Too many to erase or to disguise. They must be telling lies. Is this the face that won for her the man, whose amazed and clumsy fingers put that ring upon her hand? No need to search that mirror for the years. The menace in their message shouts across the blur of tears. So this is beauty's finish, like Rodin's Belloniere, the pretty maiden trapped inside the ranch wife's toil and care. Well, after 7 kids, that's no surprise. But why cannot her never tell her lies? Oh, lies. All those lies are telling wicked lies. Lies, all lies. Too many lines there in that face. Too many to erase or to disguise. They must be telling lies. Then she shakes off the bitter web she wove and turns to set the mirror gently face down by the stove. She gathers up her apron in her hand, pours a cup of coffee and drips carnation from the can, and thinks ahead to Friday. 'Cause Friday will be fine. She'll look up in that weathered face that loves hers line for line, to see that maiden shining in his eyes, and laugh at how her mirror tells her lies. Oh, lies. All those lies are telling wicked lies. Lies, all lies. Too many lines there in that face. Too many to erase or to disguise. They must be telling lies. All those lines are telling wicked lies. Lies, all lies. Too many lines there in that face. Too many to erase or to disguise. They must be telling lies.
You are listening to River City Folk. Stan Rogers on River City Folk from Artichoke Music on Powell Boulevard in the City of Roses, Portland, Oregon. Dave, that is one of my favorite Stan Rogers songs, and I rarely hear it. It's a really kind of slip to the back of the line as far as being recognizable, but talk about capturing life for a farm wife. It does it just perfectly. This song that you're going to play for us right now is another part of your seafaring tradition set that you've got, and you've got this big old Gill 12-string guitar that you're going to play it on. This is a song called Rum Runner, and I read the book that inspired this song for you because you lent it to me. And it was
I certainly did.
Great book. So just give us a little idea of what it was that inspired you to write this tune.
Well, I can tell you, I grew up on the Sound and up on the Puget Sound, and that's where we'd take family vacations on the sailboat. And so it's multi-generational, my grandfather and my dad. And while we were up there on the Sound, they'd tell me stories when I was a kid about all the rum running that was going on with the fire ships. They called them fire ships at the time, that were running whiskey back and forth from Victoria, BC, and places like that down to Port Angeles, Port Townsend, and doing it in the dead of night and trying to escape the Coast Guard. And so that was the influence for this song. I went to go research because they had these little stories. But I found that there was one king among them all, and his name was Johnny Schnarr, and he had this boat built in Victoria, BC, called the Kitnayakwa. And he called it the Kitnayakwa because it was impossible to remember. So if anybody saw him moored out unloading whiskey and wanted to go tell the police, they'd have no idea to remember what it was. But it's actually a little creek up in BC somewhere. But his real claim to fame was he was so much faster than anybody else on the water because he went to Boeing after World War I and got 2 Liberty bomber engines as surplus from them and retrofit his boat. And even the most updated Coast Guard cutter or whoever was after him couldn't even touch him on the water. And the only reason anybody knew who he was, so there was a large bounty on his head, his name was Johnny Schnarr, was because he basically dictated his stories to his daughter, and when he passed away, she wrote the book based on all of those tapes. And so, again, we're real close to that piece of history here in the Northwest, and what a fun thing to write about. Although I will say this, as hard as it is to remember Kitnayakwa, it's even harder to write a song about the Kitnayakwa.
Dave Ross and the Stumbling Blocks on River City Folk with this song called Rum Runner.
The old men speak in whispers of the ghost of the Puget Sound, of a ship powered by the fires of hell with the devil at the helm. Well, she cuts across the waves like lightning, and there's thunder in her engine's roar. She does 36 knots with a hold full of scotch, bound for Olympic shore. Well, a fog drifts in from nowhere to join the silence in the Harrow Straits. As the last of the cargo fills the hold, she's laid low but takes the weight. She's a bold ship, Kitnayakwa, she's a pride of the Salish Sea. When it comes to running whiskey, well, there's none that can match her speed. She hauls away and turns to the wind, noses deep into the waves, and she roars upright again. She hauls a cargo of liquid gold. She's the greatest of the fire ships. May her legend not grow old. Well, damn the movement, damn the cause, damn temperance, let us be. Our state went mad, it overplayed its hand and passed Initiative 3. Was the summer of 1921, now something had to be done. Enter the Kitnayakwa, and now Johnny's making runs. From Port Townsend bound from across the Sound, his fire ship parted the sea. With a load of rum and whiskey, old Johnny went on a spree. And the kid in the Yakwa was in her prime, propelled by dual liberties. Not the Coast Guard nor foul weather could ever bring her to her knees. She hauls away and turns to the wind, noses deep into the waves, and she roars upright again. She hauls a cargo of liquid gold. She's the greatest of the fire ships. May her legend not grow old. Well, 45 feet from bow to stern, with lines like a satin gown. With power and grace she cut the waves, making way to Ludlow town. She made 1,000 runs before work was done in November 32. With the laws removed, the fire ships withdrew, and the Kitty went missing too. Discovered on Lake Washington in the summer of '89, left on the hard and rotting, her glory days far behind. Though her body's twisted and broken, there's still whiskey in her veins. Though her roar's a distant echo, well, the legend of the kid in the Yakwa, it still remains. She hauls away and turns to the wind, noses deep into the waves, and she roars upright again. She hauls a cargo of liquid gold. She's the greatest of the fire ships. May her legend not grow old. Not grow old, not grow old.
You are listening to River City Folk, Dave Ross and the Stumbling Blocks with Rum Runner. So who are these guys playing with you this afternoon, Dave?
Yeah, well, thanks, Tom. I want to introduce to you Ryan Terry over here on lead guitar. Ryan has actually been my barber since I was about 11 years old, so that's how that relationship started. And then my good friend Jesse Kennedy over here on bass.
Thank you guys so much. Just a pleasure to hear those songs. And we've talked about doing a recording project together that I would produce for you, Dave. We're going to get that done in the next 6 months or so. Thank you so much. We're going to just take a short little break and get ready for our final guest, Michael Henchman.
Pulled in to a AAA motel. It's 1962. Pool outside with a chain link fence painted aqua blue. There's a drawer in the nightstand, Gideon's Bible waiting there. Small welcome for a stranger that someone placed with care. 'Cause in that age there was a welcome mat everywhere you went. People smiled and shook your hand and talked about good sense. Living in the heartland, living in the heartland, living in the heartland. There is coffee at the office. It's morning, bright and true. Pack the car for another day. Soon I'm driving through. Birds up on the singing wires echo melodies in their wings. St. Christopher on my dashboard with a prayer that it brings. 'Cause in that age there was a welcome mat everywhere you went. People smiled and shook your hand and talked about good sense. Living in the heartland, living in the heartland, living in the heartland. Through all the roads that I've been down, I think about that time, chasing back blue highways, wondering what I'd find, what I'd find. Warm wind stirs the wheatgrass, waves move like water, rolling towards a golden shore out across forever. And it's sunny in the heartland, memories that we keep. Next horizon is just beyond this one that we can see. 'Cause in that age there was a welcome mat everywhere you went. People smiled and they shook your hand and talked about good sense. Living in the heartland, living in the heartland, living in the heartland. Out there under blue skies, out there under blue skies. Yes, it's sunny in the heartland. Yes, it's sunny in the heartland.
Michael Henchman on River City Folk with his song Heartland. I'm your host, Tom May. It's been a pleasure for the last 40 years hosting this program of acoustic music for you. And for this last, I don't know how many years we've been here at Artichoke, but not enough. Not enough. It's been always a great pleasure, and that's where we are this afternoon at Artichoke Music on Powell Boulevard in the City of Roses, Portland, Oregon. Michael, you chose this very important recording for us to hear. It's hard to imagine two people who left more of a mark on the Portland, Oregon music scene and the national scene than these next two folks we're going to hear. One of them, of course, is still very actively out there playing and singing, and I'm going to feature her this year at this year's Winter Folk. But the other we lost at a very young age, and anybody who knew Dave Carter, he was as unprepossessing as you might imagine. He was so very humble and just a nice guy. You know, he'd sit and talk to you about poetry, even when you were an idiot about poetry. He'd sit and talk to you about it, and he was just a great guy. And he left behind a legacy of fantastic songs. When he died, there was a memorial that was done for him at Cathedral Park, and I was the MC at that memorial. And sure enough, Joan Baez pulls up with her band. And Joan got up and sang this song that you chose for us to hear at that memorial. And it was a very moving moment. I'll never forget it. So how did you happen to choose this song, The Mountain, of Dave's for us to hear?
Well, I came to their music quite a bit later than most folks do. I was living in Alaska and actually writing a lot of instrumental music for a while. And a friend of mine turned me on to Tracy's record Flower of Avalon after Dave had died. And that was the beginning of my exposure to Dave Carter. And The Mountain was one of her favorite songs, and I started listening to it. Of course, it's on the Tanglewood Tree album. And I just really connected to that from the idea of breaking boundaries, of moving forward and breaking boundaries. I was born in a fork-tongued story, and now I walk the path of glory. I just love that idea, and so that's really what it meant to me.
I was born in a fork-tongued story, raised up by merchants and drugstore liars. Now I walk on the paths of glory, one foot in ice and one in fire. I see the mountain come to me. I see the mountain, and that is all I see. Some poor prophet comes, some find solace, some lay him down in a junkyard bay. Some will chase us and some will call us gone, gone, gone in a day. Gone to the mountain come to me. I see the mountain, and that is all I see. Take me and miller, grind me, scatter my bones on the wild green tide. Maybe some roving bird will find me, over the water we'll ride. Over the mountain, yeah, the mountain come to me. I see the mountain, and that is all I see. Some build temples and some find altars, some come in tall hats and robes spun fine. Some in rags, some in gemstone halters, some push the pegs back in line. I see the mountain come to me. I see the mountain, and that is all I see.
You are listening to River City Folk. We heard Dave Carter and Tracy Grammer with their landmark recording of the song The Mountain on this program. I'm your host, Tom May. This fellow next to me, Michael Henchman, has quite a career from being a lineman, which I always found fascinating, since my dad was in the telegraph business. Being a lineman out there, working in some very remote spots, to doing lots of other things, as well as always playing guitar, always writing songs, always trying to help out with whatever scene he was in at the time. And of course, that time that you spent up in Alaska was very, very formative to you as well.
Absolutely.
Fairbanks, that's remote, man. That's way up there.
That's in the interior. It's at really cold winters, but lovely summers.
Yeah, well, lovely summers if you like big mosquitoes. Really,
Yeah, that's true.
really big ones. So, but Michael, you've got a brand new album out that I'm just crazy about. You played most of the instruments on the album yourself, which I certainly couldn't do, but you do it so well. The album is called If the Sky Fell, and we're going to hear a couple of songs from that. This first one is called Wildest Seed. And what was the idea that prompted the writing of this particular song?
This was, from the beginning, was really a tribute to long-lasting love. You know, we have our ups and downs, but when you're in for the long haul, you know, it is very rewarding. The tenderness and the compassion and the things that develop over a long period of time. And it's really what I felt when I was writing this song.
Michael Henchman on River City Folk with a song called The Wildest Seed.
These old clothes swing in a dry morning wind. Summer's been missing its rain. Too much dust, but with a little luck, I won't have to wash them again. She's up with the sunrise, tends to her garden, makes sense of all the disarray. I see her out wandering across open fields, swirling like warm ocean spray, with eyes like the wildest sea. She is strong and still running free, with eyes like the wildest sea. Thundering waves of blue-green, those eyes always smile at me. Over 20 years now, and seasons they held, riches beyond compare. I couldn't have seen just what they would bring. Our love will leave nothing to spare. Time in its clockworks tempers the humors, laughter and tears that we found. Trees have grown taller, and my heart will follow as all our bright days come around. And how many times I've been left to wonder what might have been, how I find such comfort in those eyes like the wildest sea. She is strong and still running free, with eyes like the wildest sea. Thundering waves of blue-green, those eyes always smile at me, shine like the wildest sea.
Michael Henchman on River City Folk at Artichoke Music in Portland, Oregon, with a song called The Wildest Seed. Beautiful song, Michael. Those fancy chords, boy, I'll tell you, there's some, my fingers just don't work in that way on some of those kind of chords, but just absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
You chose another recording for us to hear that's meant a lot to you by a person that I never really knew well. I met him once when he was working the door at Godfrey Daniels in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a legendary folk club like Artichoke in Bethlehem, PA, called Godfrey Daniels. And this guy was there. He was very nervous, and we were talking afterwards. He says, I play songs too. And I said, yeah. And he introduced himself to me, and his name was John Gorka. So, who went on to become quite a name in folk music. But I never heard him play live, but of course I was very affected by the songs I heard that he wrote. And this song that you chose of his to hear, I'm not familiar with. It's called Diminishing Winds.
Yeah.
What is it about this song that appeals to you, Michael?
This is from an album, I think it's around 2009 or so, called So Dark You See. And I came also, just like with Dave Carter and Tracy Grammer, I came to John's music somewhat later, in my musical career or whatever. I actually met him backstage at the Utah Arts Festival that was happening. He and Kate McLeod were together. And but anyway, this song just has, I think, a message of being present and taking the time to really notice what's beautiful around you. So he talks about the days, he talks about see the nights so dark you see the sun, see the rain, see the blue sky, and notice the diminishing winds in your life. I just really resonated with me when I heard that song years ago, and I still like it.
Tremendous advice for these times that we live in. Thank you, John Gorka. We're going to hear him right now on River City Folk with a song called Diminishing Winds.
I like the night so dark you see, you can hide if you please. Take a ship to foreign seas if the winds are moving right. I like the day because it's mine to make a rhyme, and time to time you have been a friend of mine, got my head up feeling light. Slow down, diminishing winds. One by one the storms took away my friends. I tried hard, but I didn't hear anything. You'll catch cold in those old clothes, in these diminishing winds. I like the rain if I'm inside, quinine and limes to bide. I'll rise like an ocean tide with the moon up flying high. I like the sun, it's clear to see. There's blue, it's true, but there's room for me. The line between love and company we never seem to mind. One more one-way sign to do. Don't you let the bitter get the better of you. The answer, my friend, is gone again. You'll catch cold in those old clothes, in these diminishing winds. I like the night so dark you see, Milky Way, the Pleiades. Take a ship to foreign seas if the winds are moving right. I like the day because it's mine to make a rhyme, and time to time you have been a friend of mine, got my head up feeling light. Slow down, diminishing winds. One by one the storms took away my friends. I tried hard but I didn't hear anything. And you'll catch cold in those old clothes in these diminishing winds.
John Gorka on River City Folk with a song called Diminishing Winds. I'm your host, Tom May. You are listening to River City Folk, a weekly broadcast for 40 years of live performance, musical influences, and interview. It's been such a pleasure to share all this music and all of these wonderful folks with you around the country. My guest on this part of the program today is Michael Henchman, and as I mentioned earlier, Michael has just released this wonderful new album by this title, If the Sky Fell. And the photo is an attention grabber on its own, and you mentioned there's a story behind the photo.
Yeah, so this fellow is a friend of mine. I actually met him because I saw the photo on Facebook originally. I had the song, and I was looking for something that was really dramatic that would sort of suggest if the sky fell without being obvious. And he's a sky photographer out in Buchanan, Virginia, and he often goes up and takes just wonderful sort of lightning and storm photos from the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I saw this photo and I just loved it and contacted him, and we made an arrangement, and I ended up using it for the cover.
Michael Henchman with the title cut of his newest CD called If the Sky Fell.
Leaving out a southbound station, the night is sleeping on the track, passing broad and leafy working fields, yellow lights in tumbled shacks, men in taverns smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey glasses dry, clap each other joking on the back, complain about their wives. If the sky fell tonight, would I even notice? If the sky fell tonight, would I feel more devoted to the beauty in this life? Maybe say a prayer. If the sky fell tonight, would I even care? Something in the wind calls my name, though I never was a rolling stone. Time to get away from everything, free the spirit, lose the home. But it's so hard to let it go. Grass felt soft under my feet. Now the wheels clacking on the rails gently call out my dreams, my dreams. If the sky fell tonight, would I even notice? If the sky fell tonight, would I be more devoted? Lord, I feel something holy. And coming on down the line, answer to the burning question, shedding all its disguise. Soon the rosy glow of early morn, like candlelight in a darkened church. These towns slipping by one, bend many roads on this search, on this search. If the sky fell tonight, would I even notice? If the sky fell tonight, would I be more devoted to the beauty in this life? Maybe say a prayer. If the sky fell tonight, would I even care? If the sky fell tonight, if the sky fell to earth tonight.
Michael Henchman on River City Folk with If the Sky Fell. I would like to thank the performers on this very special program, Mr. Michael Henchman, up here on stage with me right now, and earlier in the show, Dave Ross and the Stumbling Blocks for a great performance as well. Give them one more big round of applause, friends. All of those who've talked with me and shared a laugh or two, to the gentleman up in Edmonton, Alberta, who showed me what to do, to those who listen faithfully, even those who are untrue, to all of you and to everyone I say, thank you for your time. You make pleasure mine. Underline the words to every line in every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. To all of those in the alley who gave me an even break, to the man who handed me the only chance I couldn't take, to good coffee in the mornings when I'm only half awake, to all of you and to everything I say, thank you for your time. You make the pleasure mine. You underline the words to every line in every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. So that's Terry Prohaska in the middle. And Donnie right on the end down there. One more time through that intro. That was such a fun intro to write all those years ago when I was a young man. To all of those tonight who took the time to share, to the drivers, to the pilots, to all the ones that got me here, to the women who have changed my viewpoints and put up with my long hair, to all of you and to everyone I say, thank you for your time. You make the pleasure mine. Underline the words to every line in every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. One more time. Thank you for your time. You make the pleasure mine. You underline the words to every line in every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. To all the musicians who have graced the River City Folk stage, thank you so much. And all the people who made this possible through the years couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much.